I'm going to read from my Bible here and share this here. So I'm going to continue here a second. I'll fix this a little bit. I just keep it that way. That looks a lot better to me. So it says here, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. And that's in Proverbs 22, verse 6. And then it says, in the question, will good training guarantee that children will not rebel? Some suggest the word way in this proverb refers to a child's personality or bent. More likely it means, as it does throughout Proverbs, a moral path, the way of wisdom. This proverb makes a general observation about the way life usually works. Children whose parents start them out down the right pathway of life will not abandon it. Though they are exceptions, they do not cancel out the general principle or give an excuse not to follow it. And this is with verse 7. I'm going to go back to the area of what it says in verse 7, where it will ask the question, is it wrong to borrow money? Like even taking advantage of the least of these and not wanting to admit it, just feel good enough, and etc. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Is it wrong to borrow money? Proverbs does not categorically prohibit borrowing, but does remind us that debt is a form of bondage. The ancient Israelites sometimes sold themselves to be servants to pay off debts. Today, if we can't pay on time or pay at all, the lender can garnish our wages or personal possessions. In a society in which credit cards and loan opportunities abound, extreme caution about borrowing money is needed. And then it says, why would a sluggard make such sensational claims? And that's in verse 13. The sluggard says, there's a lion outside. I'll be killed in the public square. The writer was using a satire and poking fun at lazy workers. They were lions in Palestine at the time, but the chance of being attacked in the city were very slim. The point is, those who are lazy will come up with any excuse to avoid work. I'm going to say definitely inner work. A lot of people don't want inner work to be possible with the inside out themselves, only through Jesus Christ. Yeah. Just gotta admit that. Why give gifts to the rich? And that's verse 16. One who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich both come to poverty. That's so legit, as I was raised in poverty. In a poverty type of family, growing up in, using people to feel good enough and satisfied. So let me read that again. One who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich both come to poverty. That's like so legit my whole story. Way before even 1987, generational cursed. Biological in other words. Why give gifts to the rich? Giving gifts to the rich was apparently a form of bribery. This practice resulted in poverty because the investment yielded no return. We're wasting our money by trying to manipulate wealthy people. Like even spiritually wealthy people that are not, in the false teaching religion, they do try to do that. According to the first line of this proverb, bribing the rich is about as effective as stealing from the poor. What are the sayings of the wise? The sayings of the wise show striking similarities to an Egyptian text slightly older than Proverbs, known as the Wisdom of Amenemope. I can't really say that word, but I'm going to spell it. Amenepope. And that's like what verse 17. Pay attention, turn your ear to the sayings of the wise. Apply your heart to what I teach. Several of the sayings on oppression, the tongue, getting rich, etc., are almost identical. Why would God include secular wisdom in the Bible? There are several possible explanations. 1, all truth is God's truth, no matter where it is found. 2, these proverbs were first sifted through the grid of Israel's faith before being included in the Bible. 3, God may have chosen to reveal his truth to an Egyptian sage, perhaps even one who believed in the true God. What are these 30 sayings? And that starts in verse 20 with that question. Have I not written 30 sayings for you, sayings of counsel and knowledge? I'm going to read this verse 21 as well. Teaching you to be honest and to speak the truth, so that you bring back truthful reports to those you serve. Let's say a church, instead of doing deception, false teachers. How you were raised, maybe. What are these 30 sayings? This section, which is similar to the wisdom of that name again, Amenepope, is divided into about 30 units or sayings. The reference to 30 sayings also occurs in the Egyptian text. How were property lines established? Because the land was considered a gift from God to his people. Tampering with boundary stones was equivalent to disputing God's distribution of the land. The tribes of Israel were allotted land according to boundaries God established through Moses. The specific portions were assigned by lot and then subdivided by tribal leaders. People used large stones or stone pillars to mark these boundaries. And like what it says here, 28. Do not move an ancient boundary stone set up by your ancestors. Ancestors were not always good ancestors. Some were even false teachers. And so someone had to defeat the generational curse of false teaching religion. Of being so entrenched and ongoing generation. Who is a ruler today? This is anyone in a high position. Let me say what it says in that verse. It's 1 through 3. 23. We sit to dine with a ruler. Note well what is before you, and put a knife to your throat. If you are given to gluttony, do not crave his delicacy. Try and say it. Delicacies. I'm trying to really say it. I'm struggling to say it. For that food is deceptive. I'm not going to go any further with where I'm seeing that right there. All I'm going to say is July 2023. And I was like, what happened here? This person in front of me. Out of nowhere. Who is a ruler today? This anyone in high position, especially someone inclined to use or manipulate others. The point is, don't overindulge yourself on the privileges or delicacies such individuals offer, because you'll make an unfavorable impression and you may play into their plans to manipulate you. Why not eat the food of a begrudging host? It's a really good one. Do not eat the food of a begrudging host. Do not crave his delicacies. It's unwise to ask for or even accept a favor from a begrudging person. Whether you eat his food, borrow something from him, or enlist his time and efforts on a project, his manner and attitude may make the experience a miserable one. I love what that says there. And this is a really good one. Does this mean children should be spanked? It's a really good one. What's this? I love what it says because it's so legit. Using the word authoritarian. Yeah, how many parents am I like, in this world today would consider themselves authoritarian? I'm probably not saying it right, but at least I'm trying. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with the rod, they will not die. Punish them with the rod and save them from death. Let me read that again. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with the rod, they will not die. Punish them with the rod and save them from death. There is no question that physical discipline is meant here and elsewhere in Proverbs, but such discipline is not to be abusive. I love what that says. It's so legit. My biological is abusive. It should be redemptive, arising out of deep love and a concern to rear godly children. Parents who avoid the difficult and unpleasant work. This is so legit about my bio parents. I've been sharing a lot anyway, period. And I really had. Parents who avoid the difficult and unpleasant work of discipline actually fail to love their children. Enough. Parents can and must exercise their God-given authority, not false God-given authority, I will admit. To discipline our children love, but they should do so by avoiding the extremes of authoritarian and permissive parenting. It's so legit what this says here. We should follow God's example. The Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Let me say son or daughter. Like both, son and daughter. There's like another area in here, and there might be, I might do one more video after this because I might run out of time. I love what I was reading. This is some of the stuff I was reading last night. Why aren't more wicked people brought to ruin? This is with 21 verse 12. The righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked, and brings the wicked to ruin. That's like by speaking the truth about the wicked, that I once had lived just like false teachers, etc. God brings wicked people to ruin according to his timetable, not ours. Sometimes we misinterpret God's graciousness and slowness to anger as an unwillingness or an inability to deal with evil people. God tells us not to fret over people who do evil, but to wait patient for him to deal with them. That's like with my, my assignment in a lot of ways, waiting on those that God told me to go to. 4 years ago, the next 3 months. And then with verse 17, in chapter 21, what's wrong with enjoying the finer things in life? I love what this says. Nothing. As long as we keep things in perspective. God's blessing may include the finer things in life, but this proverb warns against obsession with pleasure and luxuries. People who must always have the most expensive, state-of-the-art possessions will deplete their financial resources. I love what that says. So legit. The violence of the wicked will drag them away, for they refuse to do what is right. And that's why I just had read about 21 verse 17. Or that was actually 7, so excuse me. I will have to correct myself if I see I'm mistaking and I get something wrong of what I say. Whoever loves pleasure will become poor. That's so legit. I hate pleasure now. I'd rather be with Jesus, put him above me and everything and everyone around me. Innerly. Whoever loves wine and olive oil will never be rich. And I'm going to read a little bit more because I'm running out of time on here a little bit. And I'm going to do maybe some more later. How can a person acquire a good name? This is verse 20, or verse 1, chapter 22, and verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. And this says, in a sense, this is what Proverbs is all about. As it asks the question, how can a person acquire a good name? A good name develops from the pursuit and practice of wisdom. Wise people earn a good reputation as they learn to handle finances well, avoid sexual impurity, control their emotions and speech, and work hard. Those who ignore wisdom and wind up in debt and living lives of sexual immorality, laziness, and drunkenness will find their names on bad credit reports, pink slips, and even police reports. That's so legit. Then it says here with verse 2, I'm going to try to get this one then be done for now. Rich and poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. Yeah. Whew, that's a really good one. Like what I just read here. Why does God make some rich and others poor? This is a mystery, but the rich should take caution and the poor can take comfort in the implications of this proverb. Rich and poor are equal before God. As creatures, their economic status does not make them better or worse in God's sight. What's most important is knowing God. Thus, we should not be overly impressed when people are wealthy, nor should we devalue the poor. I love what that says. I'm going to read one more part here. And it's verse 4, still same chapter. 22. Humility is a fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honor and life. What is the explanation for God-fearing people who are poor or unhealthy? I love what this is asking. It's a really good, point of a question in the Holy Spirit. Like other proverbs, this one makes a general observation about life that is usually true. However, God does allow God-fearing people to suffer in order to display his mighty works through them. God may also use poverty or poor health to test our loyalty to him. That is so legit what I've been doing, what I just read there. Test our loyalty to him, to keep us dependent on his grace, or to develop character in us. I love what this is so legit. Because God's been doing that in me, and I just, it's so mind blowing. And his love is so overwhelming. And it's a good type of overwhelming. No one can ever offer and do what he can only do. Well, good training guarantee, and I already read that one, but I'm running out of time here, so I have like a timer on top, which just makes it really easier probably for anybody who takes a look at these, etc. So I'm gonna end it for now. Maybe come back on here later. We'll see. So have a great evening, a great night, and God bless y'all.